Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God, to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the worlds, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever, and in the name of his true servant and last messenger, our beloved leader, teacher, and guide, the messenger of Allah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet you, my beloved brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum. This subject this evening is a continuation of our subject of Sunday, keys to a successful marriage. In the religion of Islam, we have laws governing our relationships with each other. Allah is so careful in instructing us in how we should relate to each other that there are certain things that we can do and there are certain things that we are prohibited from doing if we're going to have successful relationships. That is, on a general rule of general human relations. You have friends and you have people that you care about. And if you want to continue to have a successful relationship with your friends, there's things that you have to do as a duty to your friend that maintains the friendship. I think that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Jesus gave us two of the best rules for social relationships. Prophet Muhammad said, a man is not a Muslim, he's not a righteous person until he or she loves for his brother or sister that which he or she loves for himself. You can't be considered righteous, good, unless you love for others the very thing that you want for yourself. Jesus put it just a little differently. He said, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. I heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say that those few words of Jesus, do unto others as you would have others do unto you, is the best religion for man. Not a name, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, but the best religion is do unto others as you would have others do unto yourself. And do you know, brothers and sisters, if we use these two guiding principles by Prophet Muhammad and by Jesus, many of the problems that we have with each other, we wouldn't have them at all. And most of our problems come when we deal with others in a way that we would not like to have others deal with us. If you look at every problem that we have with each other, some way or form, we have violated that principle. Now, when it comes to marriage in Islam, a marriage is a contract. And a contract means that there are certain aspects that are binding on each other. And there are laws in Islam regulating marriage. This means that if you offend certain rules or laws with respect to each other, you're not going to have a successful marriage. If you follow out the laws that give success, you have a successful marriage. So tonight, we want to look at some of the principles that make for a successful marriage. Now, the word for marriage in Islam is the word nikah, which originally means uniting. Here, the very principle of marriage is to unite two persons so that they become as one. Now, there is no way that two people can become as one by uniting their bodies. The only way that two people can become as one is if mentally and spiritually we are compatible, in accord, in agreement. Do you agree? So then, marriage in Islam is a sacred contract which every Muslim must enter into, unless there are some special reasons why that Muslim should not. But it is binding on every one of us to marry. No brother, no sister is to go throughout life without marriage. That is against the law of Islam. Why is that against the law of Islam? Since the Quran teaches us that Allah created us and He has put between us love and compassion. Allah, God, created us and He has put between the male and female love and compassion. He makes the male to incline to the female and the female to incline to the male naturally, so that at some point in our development, the man is going to find a woman and the woman is going to find a man that they naturally incline to, and then a bond of marriage should be consummated once they agree, after examination of each other, that they want each other. Now, there are some of us who feel that we can go through life and we don't want marriage. Then you do not want to be tested by the problem of finding unity with a different nature than yours that is from the same essence. Most of us who don't want to marry generally are quite selfish. And we don't want to share ourselves with others. We don't want to be tested to see what kind of qualities we have. And it's easy for us to quote unquote maintain a sort of righteousness or an appearance of righteousness being by yourself. But it's more difficult for you to be righteous in terms of developing righteous character when you're dealing with somebody else. Because when you're dealing with somebody else other than yourself, there's a demand on you for some sort of compromise. There's a demand on you for some sort of adjustment in your character to suit the character and the makeup of the other party. And if I don't want to make an adjustment, I want everything my way, and I'm not going to change, I refuse to change, then you refuse the challenge of life. For life is a challenge that causes us to grow, and the growth brings about change in us. And there's nothing that will change you as much as a relationship with a male to the female. That will change you up. If you've got a good relationship going with a man or a woman, that relationship will make demands on you and bring out either the best in you or the worst, but you will never be the same. In fact, most of you right now have already changed by your relationship, brothers, with a woman, or by your relationship with a man. And because your relationship probably was not good, you have bad ideas or thoughts about marriage and about women, and some of you have bad ideas and thoughts about men and about marriage because of some relationship you've already had that wasn't good. So you've already changed because of what that relationship produced. Now what we want to do is have a successful marriage. And those of you who are not married, there's no sense in rushing off into it because it is a demand on a Muslim. It is a demand by Allah that we all as Muslims must marry unless there's some special reason why we should not. And maybe that reason should be you're dead. So look, the Quran says, marry those among you who are single and those who are fit. Now, Allah says, and let those who do not find a match keep chaste until Allah makes them free from want out of His grace. This is a demand of Allah on us that until you find that match, we are under an obligation to keep chaste until we find that match. Now that may seem very hard on a person, and it is in this world. However, that is best for you if only you knew. Now, Allah says in the Quran, until you find your match. How can you unite with something or someone that is not matched with you? You know, it's very difficult for you to find any kind of peace when the two persons are so diametrically opposed to each other. And the only way you're going to know whether the person to whom you desire to marry is good for you is you must examine that person to see whether that person matches up with yourself. Because if there is no match, things are so diverse, you're arguing all the time, you never see eye to eye except in some bedroom situation, then that's no base for any marriage. If you cannot agree, if there's no matching there, if there's no compatibility there, if there's no sense of equality there, then you are not going to be successful in uniting because you don't have a base there too much for uniting. Sometimes you have a woman that's very, very smart, and then you have a man that is not so smart. Well, how in the world can you ever have any kind of marriage when the woman is a college graduate, highly intelligent, and then she marries a man that is not developed mentally and is not capable of guiding her? Then how in the world can you honor a man that is not capable of guiding you? How can you honor a man that's not capable of managing you? So, brother and sister, look, when you marry, you should seek someone that is a match for you. There are things in your character that you need help on. You shouldn't marry a person that has the same character defect as yourself. You should marry one that has what you lack, so that one's good character will pull up that in you that is weak. And maybe where you are strong, that person is weak. So when you match up, you cover him and he covers you, and you have a beautiful relationship. The Quran even calls the husband and the wife a covering for each other. And if you cannot cover each other, then I don't think you have a good match there. Meaning what? If the woman is lazy and the man is lazy, I don't know how they're going to make it. If the woman is a little lazy and the man is energetic, then maybe the energy of that man will inspire the woman to pull up out of her laziness. If a woman is very energetic and the man is lazy, that's terrible. Because very few women can impress men with their activity to make a lazy man get up and do something. So when you find that you're married to a man, unfortunately, if that's the case, and you have to always pull him to get him to do simple little things, then there's no marriage there. That kind of marriage will end up in divorce. And the reason most of our marriages end up in divorce, it never started on the right base to begin with. They started more from lust, more from a desire for sexual gratification, more from a physical attraction to each other based on what we see externally, but we never examine to see what the character, flaws, defects, or value and virtues of the person is or are. So when you marry, you're really very, very, very superficial. And if your marriage happens to be successful, it is probably because out of ignorance you stumbled into something of value. But you didn't calculate on it, you stumbled into it, and you say, well, I'm going to make the best of it. Now, what we would like to do is, if we find that we have a marriage that can work, we want to make it work. If we're not married, we want to get the wisdom that would make a marriage successful. Now, the Quran goes on to say that in marriage, blood relationships and marriage relationships are both sacred in the sight of Allah. Now, you notice when we marry, it's that boy or that girl, that man and that woman, never families coming together. And believe me, brother and sister, this is wrong. When you are marrying a woman, it is important for you and that woman to get acquainted with each other's families, because that marriage is not just bringing those two together, it is bringing two families together. And what happens generally in marriages that are consummated by us in the state of ignorance that we're in, we have nothing to do with the family into which we've married. Have you noticed that as a general rule? You don't have anything to do with your mother-in-law, with your father-in-law, with your brothers and sisters-in-law. As a general rule, there's no feeling of real closeness there. But it should be, because God recognizes marriage ties as sacred as blood ties. Now, you know how you feel about your own sister and brother by blood. But by the same token, if you are wide awake and alert, you should feel the same way by your brother and sister through marriage. Now, when you have families joining as well as these two that are being married, you have support for the two in their marriage. By the families hooking up, the families give those two that are going into marriage a strong base of support. so that when you have a problem, your family, who has probably been through it all, can advise you, can counsel you. But when you have nobody to turn to, when you have a problem, nobody in your family that's sympathetic, nobody encouraging that relationship, then generally you end up breaking apart. Now, one of the reasons why it is incumbent upon Muslims to marry is because in Islam, that is the only way that we justify sexual activity, and that is the only way that the human species is multiplied. In the religion of Islam, which is your own religion, the nature of you, this is what you were before the white man brought our fathers out of Africa and brought us into America, made us slaves, and then made us Christians. Righteousness demands that you must justify the activity that you enter into. You don't enter into an activity and don't know why you're getting into it. You don't go into business on the spur of the moment. You don't enter into a relationship with a man or woman on the spur of the moment. And before you know the person, you in the bed with the person. This is considered by the wise and the righteous a savage act done by two persons who are not on the human level or on the divine level, but are two people who are acting on animal instinct. You know, the urge that we have for relationship with each other sexually is a natural urge, but it is an urge that has to be controlled by a highly developed mind. If the mind of the person is not developed, if the character of the person is not developed, then you have an urge that is there but not under control. So when you have an urge that is not under control, then you have reckless relationships. And most of you, my dear sisters and brothers, you have had very reckless relationships with each other. And most of your lives have been wrecked by these relationships. More the female than the male. Because the male can walk away from that relationship pretty much. He may be scarred, but when the woman has a baby with that relationship, then that relationship has a profound effect on that woman. So you don't want a reckless relationship, sisters. You don't want to be reckless with your life or reckless with your body. You want to be an intelligent woman who understands, and an intelligent man who understands that Almighty God, Allah, is He who gave us organs of sexual reproduction for the basis of the reproduction of our own species. And this should be entered into, this act should be entered into by an intelligent, moral-minded, well-developed in character, a person who has made a commitment to the woman and the woman to the man, where there's a binding contract. I will perform thus and so. And the woman says, I will perform thus and so. That's the contract of marriage. And when that contract is consummated and the person knows that their word is their bond, then, sisters, you are not reckless in giving yourself to that man, and he certainly is not reckless in taking you. That is the way Almighty God intended for it to be. But look at the crazy world in which we live. The white man's world, the reason the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called the white man the devil, the real devil of your Bible and of your Holy Quran, is because whatever God has set up to bring you peace and happiness and goodness, white folk have done it exactly opposite of the way God wants it, and makes the opposite way fair seeming in your mind. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're not happy with each other. You're not happy in your marriages. and you're not happy even in your sexual life, that life has become miserable to you, and it is because you are violating very natural and divine principles. And the violation of these principles cannot bring happiness. It cannot bring joy. This momentary pleasure that one gets from sexual enjoyment or sexual contact with the opposite sex, that is not the object of marriage. I mean, sex plays an important part, but it is so minuscule, so minor in what God is after. God is not after putting you together with a man and putting a man together with a woman so you all can indulge and indulge and indulge and indulge and never develop any love for each other, any care for each other, any willingness to share with each other. This is madness. And if you look at the relationships that you have with women or the relationships you have with men, there's very little caring and very little sharing. You don't develop a home where there's this love of service for each other. The man doesn't seem like he wants to serve the woman. She doesn't seem like she wants to serve the man. You want joy, but you don't want to serve each other. So what happens is, after your little sexual escapade is over, generally the marriage is cold, cold, cold. Then you don't have any marriage. You're just there living together, but under those kind of circumstances, either you need to reconsider your activity, or you need to recognize that the two just are not at all compatible. Look at this Quranic study here. Allah says in the Quran, O assembly of young people, whoever of you has the means to support a wife, he should get married. These are the sayings of Prophet Muhammad, pardon me. For marriage is the best means of keeping the looks cast down and guarding the chastity. And he who has not the means, let him keep fast, for this will act as castration. And that's a very heavy statement. I'm going to just go into that a minute with you. We're not going to stay long on it. Whoever of you has the means to support a wife. Let's stop right there. I mean, look, there's no sense in talking about a woman, brother, unless you're talking about a means of support. A man can't say, that's my woman. Hey, man, that's my woman. You can't say that's your woman and you have no means of support for her, brother. She's anybody's woman who will support her. I hate to say it like that, brother. But a man is very silly to go out looking for a woman and not look for a means of support for the woman. When a man looks for a woman, he should be looking, really he's looking for a duty. That's what he's looking for. In today's world, women are working, men are not. So when a man looks for a woman, generally he's looking for somebody to take care of him. That's cold, brother. And you're a foolish woman, sister. You are a very foolish woman. Yes, sir. To just take a man into your house to look after him. What do you have but another child? Let me talk to me. You'll never get what you're looking for. You want a man so bad, you tell him, I'm working, honey. You don't have to work. Yes, long as I'm working, you are a fool. And you deserve all the hell that you get. And you should get a little bit more hell until you wake your foolish self up. What have you bargained for? I'll take care of you, baby. You ain't got to do nothing. I remember when I was coming up in show business, I was 16 years old, and I was playing in a nightclub. And I used to, be pretty good at whatever I did. And there was a young woman. She wasn't really a young woman. I was 16. I think the woman was 40. But she really liked me. So in between my set, when I finished my set, she would call me over to the table to buy me a drink. Well, I didn't drink. She would get me a ginger ale or whatever I wanted. But then she would start talking. And sometimes older women, they have a game, but Allah blessed me. I was a young man, but I was smart. Allah really blessed me to have some sense. And anybody that know me from a young boy, they'll always tell you about me. The boy had plenty of sense. So the woman, she noticed I didn't have no rings on my finger, and I didn't have any watch. She wanted to buy me a diamond and ruby watch and a diamond ring. I know the woman had the money all right. But I thanked her. I said, oh, that's sweet. I'm 16 now, but I ain't a fool. I was intelligent enough to know that once I accepted this woman's gift, that woman thought that through that gift, I'm obligated to her. So therefore, I'm supposed to do her bidding now. You don't enslave me by no gift. I'm 16, but your gift don't make me. I'm a free man, and I love my freedom. Did you hear what I said? And I saw this woman with her 40-year-old self want this little young man. And she figured I was young and dumb. But she was shocked when I was young with smarts. And when I refused the woman, she said, you a faggot. Yeah. Call me a sissy, man. Excuse me, y'all. This is true. I told her, well, one sure thing, I know what I am, and you'll never get to find out. The woman was totally hurt. Now the last straw is she's going to attack my manhood, thinking, I'll show you. Say, man, I don't care what you think of me, because I know what I am. And as long as I'm comfortable with what I am, I really don't care what you think. So I walked away from that woman. She used to come to the club quite often. There's one thing, I kept them coming back. And the way I recognize you keep them coming back, brother, is leave them alone. Yes, sir. Say it again. I said it once. I mean, look, and I learned that as a boy, as a young boy. Brother, if you want to be successful in life, don't play with women. If you want to be successful in life, don't use women. If you want to be successful in life, have a healthy regard and respect for woman. And then find you one that you can come off that stage or come from your work or wherever you are and come home to and make that woman the object of your love. And I guarantee you'll be a happy man and a happy woman. And I did that from the time I was 16. I met my present wife. I knew her when she was 8 years old. And I'm 50. And been with the same woman All them years. It's more than the 30 years we've been married. It's about 10 years before that. But I learned that woman was the object of my life. I knew why I wanted to marry her when I was 17 years old. I wasn't thinking about no money or thinking about this or just sex. I looked at the woman. And I was 16. And I said, now, this is the kind of woman I need. You know why I married her? I was in show business. And women all flock around people that are quote-unquote stars. I wanted a woman that didn't love me for my music, because you don't know what you got when somebody loves you for your art and don't love you for you. So I was examining her to find out whether she loved me for my character rather than my ability. Then I knew I had a woman that I could come home to that isn't all starry-eyed over my talent that the God had given me, but she's more starry-eyed over the man himself. Yes, sir. So I married her, and I didn't make no mistake. We've been together now 30 years, and by the help of Almighty God, we'll die together. Or she'll die and leave me, and I'll die and leave her. Now, brother, I'm just saying this is just common sense that I use. By watching others make mistakes, I said, no, I'm not going to fall into the same trap that others fell into. And I say this very humbly. I had an opportunity to do anything I wanted to, but I refused it because I recognize, brother, that a woman is not something to be played with. Now, this is part of my own life story, but I think it's good to illustrate the point. Keep chaste until you find your match. Watch, look. But don't look for the sex more than looking for the character, because the sex will come along fine if the character comes along fine. All other things will be fine too. God set it up that way. But when you like a dog in a meat house, experiencing and tapping up every little thing you can find, then when you finally settle down with a woman of character, the other part don't come along because you got the memory of all these other things in the back of your silly head. So you're constantly comparing your husband to some man that you had a night with, or your wife to some woman you had a night with. But that's no comparison, man. When you living with somebody that get up in the morning with you and go to bed at night with you and go through all that hell with you, there ain't no woman or no man that can compare with that. Any man can look good for one night. Any woman can look good for one night. But who can look good over the years? Go ahead. Yes, sir. Go ahead. That's what you want. I'm coming back to my sisters who sometimes are very silly with men. And beloved sisters, you are hurting because of silliness, and you must stop it. You must stop it. You must get a grip on your life. You spoil a man when you bring him into your house and take care of him, and he don't have to do nothing but lay there and say, hey, baby. And you go out every morning and work and come home and pay the rent, pay the gas, pay the lights, keep him in a suit, keep him in a pants. And deep in your heart, you know, you can't love a man like that. You just can't. I was in Canada one year when I was 18, and as I was playing in this nightclub, there was a young lady that used to come there all the time to watch our performance. And one day, she came to my home, a rooming house where I was staying. She rang the bell, and I came downstairs. And the woman, the little girl, you know, I imagine she was a little older than me. She was probably somewhere in her late 20s. I was 18. She had a fistful of money. She was a prostitute. And she just wanted to give her money to me. She had her hand out and a handful of money. And I told her very nicely, I said, oh, sister. I didn't call her sister then. I said, oh, baby, or sweetheart, or whatever. You know. We didn't use no word sister back then. I wasn't a Muslim. But I was so touched by her desire to give me her money. I mean, it touched me. Not in the way where I said, oh, look, I got a chump here. I'm going to take her money. She touched me that she saw in me, evidently something that attracted her. She just wanted to pay me. Well, give me a part of her work. I said, oh, whatever I called her. I said, I make quite enough money. You keep your money. You work hard for it. Woman had never met a man like this before in her life. I know it. If she's alive today, I am etched in her brain because she knows she met a man that night that she offered her money to, and the man turned her down. I was only making $82.50 a week, but I wouldn't give a doggone if I was making $10 a week. Don't no woman keep me. Don't no woman keep me. When my mother raised me to a certain level, that was the end of it. I cannot let no woman keep me. And brother, when you let a woman keep you, you are letting a woman castrate you. Take away your manhood. Take away the strength of you as a man, and then treat you like a little punk or a little boy. And you have to take it because you're not a man. God is my judge, and he knows whether I'm telling a truth or telling a lie. My wife, if she stood here tonight, she will bear witness. That woman sometime had more money in her pocket than I had in mine, but I would never let her spend a dime on me. I would spend everything I had and go home with nothing, and would never let her buy me nothing. That's a principle for me as a man. I don't like no woman keeping me. I have to be the man or nothing at all. Do you understand that, brothers? Now, maybe you don't agree. But if you don't agree, then you're not a man. And if you don't agree, some woman has made a little sissy out of you in another sense. I don't mean in that sense, you know what I mean? But when a man can't be a man, that's what I'm talking about. When you can't open your mouth like a man. When you can't make a demand like a man. Then, man, you are worthless to yourself, and you certainly are worthless to a woman.
Go ahead and teach, brother.
When I left show business and became a Muslim, I had never worked a day in my life. Now, some brothers feel that certain work I'm not going to do. I just want a certain kind of job, and if I can't get that kind of, baby, I just... See, I don't work for the white man. Usually when a man talk like that, he don't work.
That's right. That's right.
You watch him, he don't work. Any resemblance to any persons in our audience, of course, is purely coincidental. But look, beloved, listen. I didn't know how to work. But Mr. Muhammad asked me to leave show business. I didn't know anything else to do. But for his sake and for the truth, I turned my back on my music. And my wife will tell you that if she was here today, she said, that boy, he went out and he worked. I don't care what the job was. If it was cleaning toilets, and I cleaned toilets, my children had to eat. That's important, brother. When you got children, you don't let welfare feed your children if you a man. Hell no, my wife is not going to look to the president or to the governor more than she looked to me. I will not have it. I will not stand for it. She not going to tell me, well, nigga, you can go as long as the check comes.
That's right. Teach.
No, I mean, look, brother, I may not look like much, but those are principles I must give my mother credit for. My mother instilled this kind of thing in me as a young boy. When I got out of high school at 16, my mother received her last welfare check. They sent her one extra. She took it back to them. Thank you very much, she said, for helping me get my children this far. Now the young man, the baby boy, is out of school, and now she says, you can have this check back. She ain't never went back to them again for nothing. There's a certain kind of pride. Not false pride. It's human pride. And a man who is a family man, a man who has children, has to understand, brother, when you got children, your children got to look to you. You the man. You put the life there. You brought the life here. The life didn't ask to come. So now that the life is here, you and I have the responsibility to turn heaven or hell upside down to make sure that that woman is cared for and that those babies are cared for, and that is your and my responsibility. And there's no woman that can love a man who will not keep up his responsibility by her and the child that she bears for him. No woman can love you, brother. She can tolerate it if you say, well, I'm struggling and I'm without a job. She can go along with that. But she can't go along with a lazy, jive-time man who wants the state and the government to take up his responsibility. There's not a woman in here that likes that kind of thing. No, I don't think you do. If you do, there's something wrong with you too. Today it's a convenient thing. Look, baby, I mean, get it from the state. They offering it, you know. And Whitey done did us in, you know what I mean? But now, yes, Whitey did you in, but are you going to do yourself in now as a man? He did the job. You know what makes white folks happy? To see black people depending on him for a little dough.
That's right.
He loved to see you coming standing in a line. Waiting on a little check. When he sees you like that, his mission is complete. He said, I got this nigga just where I want him. And sisters, right now, when you hear Elijah Muhammad talking about separating from white folk, no wonder you get the jitters. It's you that get shivers up and down your spine when you hear somebody talking about separating, and you got to depend on him for your livelihood. You through right there. You say, now wait a minute. I can go along with you, Mr. Muhammad, that black folks should do something on their own, but I'm not going along with you that we should leave white folks entirely and just depend on these niggas. You don't say it like that. But sisters, it's real. And brothers, I say this, our women are never going to love us. They are never going to respect us as men and as husbands until and unless we take up the responsibility as a man to feed, clothe, and shelter our families.
That's right.
Now, I'm not trying to use myself as any example because I'm not the best example in all things. But there are certain things that Allah blessed me in that I think I can share with you that I think might hopefully inspire you. Because believe me, brothers, where there is a will, you make a way. And the white man, I don't care what kind of job closed down for him. That don't mean we got to stay out here hungry, naked, and out of doors because whitey haven't opened up an opportunity. We are from the Creator, and we open up opportunities for ourselves. And you really want a woman to love you? Brother, let me tell you something. You can make a woman fall so much in love with you, brother, till if some man even attempts to come in your house, she will hate him just for the attempt to come behind you. Did you hear what I said? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught me that when a woman's heart is filled up with a man, she can't get another man in there. Now, sisters, you can tell me if I'm telling other than the truth. See, and if you can get another man in, then your heart is not filled up with the man you got. It's true. It really is true. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that God and the laws of Islam and the contract of marriage and the responsibility and the duty that we have toward each other actually fills our hearts up with each other. When a man is dutiful by a woman, I mean, brother, she keeps falling in love with you. She don't stop. It isn't because you've been there 5 years that the love gets cold. You keep the duty going, and the love keeps getting stronger and stronger. There are some women that love men when they're 60 more than they loved them when they were 16. And when that person dies, they don't want to live. Have you seen that kind of love in your lifetime, sister? When you see a woman like that, you check the man. And you see that the man was a dutiful man. He kept up his duty by that woman. Now, brothers and sisters, we have a duty by each other. I'm not going to keep you long tonight. But I'm going back to that means of support. I don't think a man should marry a woman who has everything and he has nothing. He can't give her anything. Now, in the way of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Prophet Muhammad married a woman who was rich, and she was 40 and he was 25. But Prophet Muhammad had something that woman needed. He had character. And he was wise as a young man. He didn't have the money, but she saw in him the character, and it made a very good match. But when you marry a woman, brother, she got a home, she got a car, she has children, she's been down the road before. What can you do for her? You ask yourself, well, I can't give her a baby, she's already had that. I can't give her a home, she already has that. Well, what can I give her? If you can give her that wisdom, that knowledge, that strength that upkeeps her spiritually, you can make a good match. But if you don't have the intelligence and the wisdom to upkeep the soul and spirit of a woman, you really don't have nothing to offer her, even if you have money. A dumb man can't be a husband. Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Now, sister said back to me, you got a lot of them. And that is the truth. But now, it's not our fault that we're this way. That's the point.
Right.
Sisters, it's not our fault that we're ignorant. When the white man stripped us of knowledge, he stripped us of the ability to be a husband.
That's right. Yes, sir. That's right.
So he's not to blame for trying and failing. But today, when knowledge makes itself present for you, brother, and you don't come and get the knowledge, and you keep in ignorance, then you can't blame the white man. You have to blame yourself, because knowledge is here for you to make a great man out of you, so that you can help her to become the great woman that she's there to become. She's already that. All you need to do is know how to bring out of her what God has put in her. And brother, you don't need happiness nowhere else. You don't have to die and go to heaven. This is your heaven right here. So teaches the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to say it again. Some of you sisters looked at me like I was crazy. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us that the heaven for the man is the woman. You don't have to die and go there, brother. What do you want in heaven? No, wait, no. I mean, what do you want in heaven? Tell me. He said, well, I want peace and contentment of mind. I agree with you. That's why the Holy Quran says, Allah made wives for you from among yourselves, that you may find peace and quiet of mind in them. So you don't have to die and go to heaven. You just have to get knowledge enough to go into the woman and bring out of the woman the heaven that God put in her for you. It's all here. There's not one woman in here that couldn't give the man heaven, but the man, she can't give it unless you demand it. You've got to be, not even demand it, you've got to command it. Because it's all there. You have to be able to bring it out. And you can't bring it out a dummy to your role and a dummy to our connection to the divine supreme being. God is central to how we react as men and act as men. Look, O assembly of young people, whoever of you has the means to support a wife, he should get married. For marriage is the best means of keeping the looks cast down and guarding the chastity. And he who has not the means, let him keep a fast, for this will act as castration. Here the Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad, is saying to us, if you've got the means to support a wife, you should get married. And this is the best means of keeping the eyes cast down. In Islam, as I mentioned when we were teaching, I think it was last week, on moral precepts, that a Muslim is not supposed to look into the eye of the opposite sex and just stare. Because the longer you look into a woman's eye, believe me, it will arouse you sexually. And that is not a lie. That's scientifically proven, which bears witness to the truth of the teachings of the Holy Quran. You don't look into a man's eye and just gaze. Oh. That'll mess your head up. After you stare in a man's eye a long enough time, your thoughts begin to change. His will change toward you, yours will change toward him. So the Quran says marriage, or not the Quran, pardon me, the hadith or the sayings of Muhammad say that marriage acts as a force to keep the eyes cast down. You know, when you got a good marriage, you don't look for another man. When you got a good marriage, brother, you're not looking for another woman. Look, when you was really in love with a woman, you saw other women that were pretty. You saw other women that were beautiful. But if you really were in love, those other women didn't faze you. I'm speaking now out of my own experience. I can't speak for you in that way, but I can speak for myself. The love of another woman can act as a means of purifying your conduct. And this is why I could travel all over the country and meet women and leave women the way I meet them, because my commitment is in another direction. And no matter how beautiful they are, and they are beautiful, I act as though I don't see the beauty, even though I do see the beauty. It is because the love of that woman that I have is precious to me.
Go ahead, brother.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, I don't know whether you've experienced this with a woman, brother, but if you haven't, you really need to. I mean, brother, your whole horizon on life will turn around when you find that there is a good woman somewhere for you. Same way with you, sister. When you've got a good man and you know he's good and he's pleasing to you and he just brings out of you, the way you really want to feel. All women feel one way, but they know that there's something in them that they want to give. But if the man don't call for it, he don't get it. I mean, am I telling the truth, sisters? There's another dimension to you that have not even been shown yet. And the closest you came to showing it was the first time you fell in love. The first time you fell in love, I mean, it poured out of you like, I guess you would call it honey. But if the man didn't know how to appreciate what he was getting and hurt you, then immediately you closed that part up. And even the next man that you met, you never poured it out again. You made him bring it. And if he didn't know how to bring it, he never got it. And some of you have been married 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, and you have not yet given a man what is in you to give him. Because he didn't know how to command it and bring it forward. Don't you see that our enemies, the white man is so insignificant as an enemy, brother. He's punk stuff. Our worst enemy is our ignorance of God and self and each other and the true nature and religion of Allah and of ourselves. That's our worst enemy. All right. Does this make sense so far? Let me go on now. Just a couple more points. I do have a watch now, so I can. And the sister didn't give it to me, but I. My wife has always given me little gifts now. She really touches me with these lovely little gifts. And I accept them now. But when we were courting, I couldn't accept anything from her. And I say this, brothers. We have to be the means of support for a woman, even if she has a job. When a woman works and a man works, unless you need her money, let her have her money. Go ahead, honey, put it away. I mean, if you need it, you can't do that now. If you need it, you have to tell her, honey, let's put this thing together here. That's right. Now, my wife helps me in this work. I never ask her about the charity that she receives. Nothing. That's my duty to look after her, regardless of what she makes. That's my duty, and I'm going to keep that up. If she got a job and she's making money, I'm not asking her to look out for herself with her money. And you doing my job. And the more you start doing my job, then I can look for less respect. And I want what I'm supposed to get. Well, you do too. You do too, brother. I don't care how young you are, how old you are, brothers. You want the respect of your women folk. You want your women to look up to you. Yes, you do. You want your women to honor you. You don't like your women going telling you about some other man. Oh, man, I seen so. He's sharp. He's this. I mean, that anger you, brother, and you shouldn't do that, sisters. You don't go to your husbands telling them about other men. That's awful. That's the fastest way to get somebody to act like a dentist. He'd be pulling out all your teeth when you act like that. Don't do that. If you find some nice quality in a man that you would like to see in your husband, please don't go to your husband and say, you ought to be more like so-and-so. That's terrible. When you tell him that, you are telling him that so-and-so is the object in your mind and not me. Then he gets angry with so-and-so and angry with you. And since he may not be able to get to so-and-so, he will get to you and call you a bunch of so-and-so. And before you know it, you're in a divorce court. No, there's always in a man some quality that you would like to see in your husband. When I came into the nation, Malcolm X was the minister in temple number 7. And there was not a woman in the temple that didn't admire Malcolm. He was a developed man under the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And those women adored Malcolm. And they will adore a man that's trying to follow in the example under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He becomes admirable. But sister, look, don't get out of sorts. You got to understand that every one of these men have the same potential, maybe more than what we saw in Malcolm or other great ministers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All of these men have the same great potential. In fact about it, I know that there are men in here that are greater than I am. In fact, all of them are in one respect or another. So we don't need to exalt this person as though the person that we have is nothing. The person that you have is valuable. Stop looking in somebody else's yard and start cultivating the yard that you have. Yeah. All right. Now, I'm going to rush now because some of you, this is hitting a little hard. And I want you to stay with me, you know. Don't let us lose friendship over this. Brothers, it is most important that we have a means of support for our women. Most important. And if the white man has no job available, we must find a way to be a means of support for our wives and their children. You must not give the women babies and then not concern yourself with your children. Even if you and the woman, pardon me, are not getting along, think about your children, will you? Even if they live in another state and you don't see them, think about your children and say, here, send something here. This is for the baby. Keep that in your mind. And that's a duty. Even though the white man may take it away from you, that is your duty, brother. And you don't let the white man take away from you a duty that God has put on you and your own actions have put on you. You don't let nobody take that duty away. My mother, bless her heart, she didn't make no demand on my father. She said, I'll rear myself. She's a very independent black woman. That was good in a sense and bad in another sense. She did it all by herself. So the man, my father, this is rather personal, but he was left then free to run, to frolic, to play, and never grow to be a man. You see, being independent is fine, but to the point where you say, I don't want nothing from you, you wanted the baby. No, brother, and even if she don't want nothing, take care of your children. Take care of your children. Never let your children grow up to say, that's my father, that nigga right there. He never gave me nothing. Nigga didn't even put a pair of shoes on my feet. That's the nigga. That nigga. I mean, oh, that would kill me for my children to run that down to me when I'm getting older. And this is why in your old age today, you're not happy. You know, our elderly people, after they have lived their life for you and me, they shouldn't be in homes. They should be in our homes. Right. See, our older people should be all around us, and we should be all around grandmama, all around grandpapa, and let them know that we appreciate what they've done and feed them the love that they fed to us when we were small. Now it's our turn to pay back. They don't have anything to give. They're going out of the world. The least we could do is make their last days comfortable. But see, when a man don't do his duty by his child, the child grows up and he don't like his father, or they don't like the mother. Because most times, sisters, when you don't have a man there, you just have a child, but no man. It's very difficult for you to give to your children what you don't get. And if there's no one there feeding your soul the love that you need to flourish as a woman, you're so frustrated and messed up in your head that when you sometimes look at the child and they look too much like the man that has never done anything right for you, you beat the hell out of the child because he looked like the father. Smack him upside his head, especially if he's a boy child. That's wrong. Now you setting up something for yourself. The little boy is growing up under all of that. The little girl is growing up under all of that. Now you in your 40s, you in your 50s. The child is grown, and the child will cuss you out, call you a bag of names. Look, and then you get a stroke and get a heart attack. You think your child is going to look out for you? The child say, to hell with you. Put her in an old age home. Let somebody else wipe the snot from her nose. But she was pulling snot from yours when you couldn't pull it from your own. But now, you see, because of this bad relationship, because of marriage, there's no love in us anymore as a real human people. So we leave our elderly to go to hell by themselves, and we abandon our babies on doorsteps because of this thing here called marriage. Man, and as I say this, and I say this with deep humility, we can't play with this thing called marriage. This thing is so important and so sacred that Almighty God punishes people who interfere with marriage with the punishment of death. In the holy world, when a man comes into your house to break up your house, the penalty in the Holy Land is death. That's how sacred marriage is in the eyes of Almighty God, Allah. And when marriage starts messing up, when marriage starts breaking up, when homes start dividing up, that's when you get all of this hatred and envy and jealousy and all this, what we call mental frustration, sickness, imbalance. And it comes all out in the society as you grow older, and you see it all stems right back to bad marriage. Look, sisters, you that are not married, don't make a mistake. Take your time. Don't jump into nothing. Please. When a man comes calling, let him call. But you be careful how you answer. You know, and you would be wise to learn how to fast. I say this to you, brother, learn how to fast. Because if you're not married and you don't have a woman to go home to, you don't have a man to go home to, and you know there's a natural urge in you, there's a hunger for sex. I mean, it's natural. You can't deny that it exists. God gave it to us. It's there. But how do you control it? I mean, if you go out and throw yourself away, what is the result of it? What is going to be the end of it? Some man using you and then walking away from you, no commitment, talking about you, telling his friends how he slept with you. What the hell kind of life is that for you to live, sister? You got to get up away from that. No. Here's a way to do it. What way?
Teach.
Wait a minute. There's a way. Look. I know you love to eat, don't you? Food is an urge, isn't it? You get a natural hunger. I want to eat. And you walk down the street, you get a smell from a delicatessen, and the smell says, time to eat. See, there's always something to excite the natural urge in you, and maybe you had planned to eat at 5. You walk out at 3 or 2, and you get a smell here and a desire there, and before you know it, you've eaten a sandwich, you've eaten something else, and you can't really eat your meal that night because you've done it already because you gave in to an urge. Is that correct? Yes, all right. Well, sex and hunger are tied together. Now, just as you can defeat the urge to eat, and eating is more natural even than sex. You can go without sex a long time. You can't go without eating too long and be around. Ask them Irish boys. No, you can't do that. Is that correct? So now, what is the best way to do it? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has said to us, fasting. It strengthens you against the urge to eat. Now look, brother, sister, you ought to try this. You are not going to die if you don't eat one day. Many of us as Muslims, we train ourselves this way according to the teachings of the Quran and the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We train ourselves not to eat a lot. So if we decide that we are not going to eat, say tomorrow, I'll just have some tea, maybe I'll have some juice, but I will not eat a meal until tomorrow night. You can do that. And once you make up in your mind, really make up your mind to do it, and do it, you feel real good. You say, man, I did it. And the next time you say, now, I'm going to eat tonight. Tomorrow, I'll have some tea. I may have some juice, but I won't have no food at all until the day after tomorrow. Now, the stomach may act up. It may start growling on you and talking to you. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, talk right back to it. Tell your stomach, not tonight, tomorrow. And pretty soon the growl will leave. I'm telling you the truth. You the master of this, not this the master of you. And after you put your stomach under control, any other urge that you get, you can master it. And that's why Prophet Muhammad said, fasting acts as castration. Because if you can fast and give up the desire for food, then you can give up the desire for sex, because they're tied together. Those two desires. All right, I think we'll end this part. This subject is so profound that really, you don't have to stop teaching this. And we haven't even touched it. We really haven't gone into hardly anything. But I think we can conclude this subject matter tonight. That brothers, sisters, since Allah has put love and compassion between those of us who are male and female, there's just a natural tendency in us to love the female and to show compassion for her. Have you noticed how when a woman cries or is feeling sad, there's a natural tendency in a man to want to comfort her? Have you noticed that, brothers? Have you noticed how when a woman cries or is feeling sad, there's a natural tendency in a man to want to comfort her? Have you noticed that, brothers? Some brothers say, I haven't. Yeah, you all know it's true, and the sisters know it's true too. That's why they cry a lot. But when a woman seems to be in distress, brother, you have compassion for her. Nature makes you go right to her. And do you know, she has the same feeling for a man. When she sees a man in distress, she has a feeling of compassion for him. Now, these are just feelings, and a feeling is the beginning of something, but it must grow. Okay? Now, marriage is supposed to develop those feelings of love and service into actual service of each other. A love that is based not on momentary passion but lifelong connection develops a parental love for offspring. See, when you love each other, when you see your children coming, oh, brother, this really makes you love your babies. You know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted every brother to go with his wife through her birth pains, her labor, and the delivery of her child. This is a blessing, brothers. I was denied this blessing with all of my children. And from the time my first baby was born, I wanted to go into the room to see my wife give birth. And I complained about 3 or 4 times, you know, with successive children. And it wasn't until recently that they allow men to go with their wives all the way through, showing you how far advanced the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was in his teaching to us than the civilization that we're in. Now, you know, when a man goes into labor with a woman, you talk about love and compassion that's developed in a man for a woman. Brother, there is no time in life when a woman is more beautiful than when she's pregnant.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
This doesn't mean you should keep them pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
But she is beautiful, brother, when you see life growing in her. And that's the time that a man who is natural and his love, the bond of that marriage is developed, he don't want to leave her. Not then. No, brother. That's the time you want to be more with her. You don't make excuses to stay out of the house when your wife is pregnant. You make every excuse to be there. Oh, I know it's not been like this, brothers. Because usually when you marry women for their forms and they get pregnant and they start losing their form, you begin to make them feel ugly and unattractive. And many of you sisters, you get that crazy, silly notion that you are ugly and unattractive because men don't make you feel secure when you're pregnant. And believe me, brother, the word Muslim means one who is made secure. And when the person is made secure, they enter into peace. You are made a Muslim by God making you secure. You help her to be a Muslim by making her secure. And when a woman is pregnant, she wants to know, do you love me? I mean, she'll do little things to make her to be secure in the knowledge that you are not displeased with her as she's getting fatter and fatter. Or should I say, larger and larger. And brother, that's the time when a real marriage shows itself. Now, there's so much to say on that, but I'm just going to go through it quick. But brother, you can make a woman make your children like you. You didn't hear me. You can make your woman, your wife, make your children inclined to you. They naturally incline to her because she's the mother. But you can make her make the children incline to you as the father. Your children don't incline to you naturally because she's not inclined to you naturally, because when she's in the family way, you and I leave her. We walk out, we party. Where you going tonight? None of your business. I'll be back. Well, I want to go to get your fat, ugly self back in the house. Now, honey, oh, brother, if this is the way you treat her, oh, brother, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know. Your ignorance is killing you sure as, Tylenol with cyanide in it. It's death, brother. Once you slam the door and go out with your friends to boogie, she's inside the house. All kind of thoughts going through her brain of hate for you. Did you hear me, brother? You already know what I'm talking about, sister. I mean, brothers, if Allah didn't make me to know what I'm talking about through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you wouldn't get the sisters to respond to the truth of what I'm saying in the way that they respond. And I think you ought to pay good attention to the way they respond, because it shows you that brother is touching something that is in their life and they know what I'm talking about. But they may not know the effect of what I'm talking about. Now look, brother, when you do this to them, or we do this to them, they get feelings of hatred, they get feelings of rejection, and then they put that right into the child. They reject the child. Wish I didn't have this damn baby. They start talking like that. I ought to just go and kill it. Want no baby for that nigga. Look at him. I mean, I look at where you're talking, and you think the little baby is not picking up on that. But the baby, even though the baby don't have ears that can hear you speak, the baby is inside of you. And whatever chemistry that is developed in your body as a result of what you ingest and as a result of your thinking, it becomes a part of your child. You can mark your children with the way you think. And when the woman grow to hate you, she mocks the baby with a disinclination toward its own father because of the way you treated the woman while she was carrying your child. This is why marriage is nothing to play with, brother. This is no sex party here. I mean, you just don't get married to a woman because you want sex, man. You get married to a woman because you want to fulfill your life, and you don't think about it's being a temporary thing. Well, I'll just marry this broad, and if it don't work out, hell, in a couple of weeks, I'll be through with this. See, when you go into marriage like that, you never end up right. Marriage is a contract that you enter into until death takes you away. So you don't go into marriage with a return in mind. Can you see that we've been messed up the way we've gone after this life? Brothers, sisters, look. That pain of rejection is so heavy till the baby comes forth out of the mother disinclined toward you. And she'll continue to feed it because of the way you treat her. She'll feed that disinclination. And after a while, you'll see your children don't come to you, they don't like you, they don't care for you, you can't have a good connection with your children. And so, when you see your wife going through childbirth, if you're blessed to see it, and you see her in pain, and just look, if you were really in love with the woman, how much that pain goes into you. When my wife was having my first child, I was in college. I had married her, and she said, go on and finish your education. Now you think about that. But while I was in college, I was thinking about her suffering with this child. The child was in a position where if it rested on a nerve, if it touched that nerve, it would just knock her legs out from under and she would fall. I couldn't stay in no college. My wife having a baby for me. So I left school to go home to be with her. And let me tell you, brother, now to me, I think this is the way we should act. Everywhere I went, my little pregnant wife was with me. I was proud of her little pregnant self. And we walked together. And I wanted the world to know that I loved that pregnant woman. And I was proud of what she was bringing into the world for me. And it got so, brother, you can get so attached to the woman. You can't feel the pain that she feels. But you can identify with her so close that you get another kind of pain as she's going through hers. That identification. And let me tell you, brother, if we were blessed, as some of you are now, to go through it with her when she has the baby, to watch that new life come into existence through her, that develops a closeness. And before you know it, that feeling of love and service develops through marriage. And you feel it toward her, you show it toward her. Then when the children come, you look at that precious little life and you start feeling it toward your child. And before you know it, the children grow up, and the most grievous thing in a household like that is to see the brother fight the brother, or the brother and the sister fight each other. It tears the parents up because they love each other and they love their children. Now what you're developing in a house like that, where the marriage is strong, you develop children that have that feeling of love and service toward each other. And then right out of the home, it goes right out into the community. And before you know it, you got a community of people who love and serve each other. It all starts with marriage. You think we ought to rethink our thinking about marriage? I think so. So I leave you, brothers and sisters, with this thought in mind. No man can be a supporter of a woman just with finance. It takes knowledge to support a woman. I think I should say that again. No man should think he can support a woman with finance alone. It takes knowledge to support a woman. Because finance can keep her up physically, knowledge can keep her up spiritually, intellectually. You got it? So an ignorant man can never be a good husband. And an ignorant man can never produce a good wife. So we'll stick a pin in the subject tonight. I guess you've heard so much now that you, I see a heaviness has come over this audience. And either you've gotten sleepy, or the subject got disinteresting, or you are thinking so heavy on it till your thoughts are all out here in the atmosphere, and it really thickened the atmosphere. I believe it's the last thing. And you know, as I talk, brothers and sisters, you begin to see your life running in front of you. And you begin to see mistakes that you might have made. Now listen, I'm going to close on this. Any mistake that you and I made in ignorance, don't beat yourself up for that mistake. Don't do that, brothers and sisters. That's not what truth is revealed for. It's not revealed to make you feel bad and feel terrible. It is to prick your conscience and awaken you to what you and I should do. The past is the past. We can't go back in the past and get it and make it right, but we can start from today. That's the point. What is in the past is dead. It is gone. Maybe we can never retrieve it. Maybe we lost a good woman or a good man. We can never get them back. But today we are alive. And we have a whole life ahead of us. So we don't want to die in the past. We want to live now in the present and prepare with this knowledge for the future. So I don't want you to get bugged out and sad over yesterday. I want you to take courage with the knowledge that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given to us and build the present and make it better. And when we make the present better, then every one of these young brothers and these young sisters who have yet to go out into that road can have an example in us that is better than the example that was given to us by those who went before us. Right. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.